Dixie here. Today I want to tell you about 3 trails I will probably never through hike. The trails I'm going to talk about today are specifically trails that a lot of people have mentioned in the comments, like, hey Dixie, what about this trail? Is it on your radar? So this is kind of an answer to that. First, probably the most requested of the 3 is the North Country Trail. The North Country Scenic Trail is 4,800 miles long, traversing 8 states, starting in North Dakota in the west and moving eastward through Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, and ending in Vermont. It's actually the longest national scenic trail in the United States. I was scouting out the northcountrytrail.org website and I noticed they've got a recognition system in place for folks who want to do large sections of the trail, and also for people who end up doing end-to-end journeys, whether that's backpacking or doing some other form of maybe skiing, etc. But it seems like the NCT has a pretty decent community around the trail. I mean, to make a trail that's 4,800 miles long possible, you've got to have a lot of volunteers and people who are willing to get in there and really do a labor of love. And one of the most beautiful places I've hiked in the United States was Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore up in Michigan, and that's a section of the North Country Trail and probably a gem of that trail. So why don't I want to hike the North Country Trail? Well, with it being 4,800 miles long and the FKT, so fastest known time that somebody completed this trail, was 186 days, 9 hours, 38 minutes, and 21 seconds. If I'm being honest with myself, this trail would probably take me around 10 months to actually through hike and document it. That's a lot of time right up next to Canada in an area that just doesn't get super warm. And I'm very cold natured. I'm a scrawny little girl, and I know, yeah, I could carry stuff that would keep me warmer, but I just freeze. So spending at a minimum 6+ months right up there next to Canada, it just sounds like a sufferfest to me more than is typical. My main issue is where it's located geographically and when I'd be in certain states at certain times, and with the length of the trail, I certainly won't be able to avoid snow. With that said though, I am definitely interested in section hiking this trail. It is a loose goal of mine to complete all of the national scenic trails, if possible, in my lifetime. So section hiking something like this in the prime time to go up there when it's going to be the hottest that it can be is more my speed than through hiking the North Country Trail. Next, the Trans-Canada Trail. This trail is like a whole different beast because it's 15,000 to 17,000 miles long depending on which source you're looking at. So let's do a little bit of math. If you were to do 20 miles per day with no 0 days, and you were doing somewhere between 15 to 17,000 miles, then that means at a minimum you'd be out there for 2 years. And there actually have been people who have completed this trail. At one time it was the Trans-Canada Trail, then it was the Great Trail, now it's the Trans-Canada Trail again. So if you look up online, you can see the folks that have completed those trails. It might be called one thing or the other, but there was one lady that did it over a period of 6 years, and she did things like paddling, skiing, hiking, etc. to complete all of the miles. And then there were people who have actually done it with backpacking the whole shebang. So props to them. That was definitely a huge undertaking. I was interested to learn that the highest point on this trail is only 7,169 feet. I don't know why, but I just figured at some point it would take you higher up than that. So that does help that you're not at an extreme elevation for a significant period of time. And also something that would help speed things along is over 5,000 miles of this trail is on pavement. And I enjoy road walking. It's something that I learned to love after doing the Continental Divide Trail and the Florida Trail. Usually there are goodies associated with road walks, like getting a hitchhike into town and stay for a night, maybe passing a convenience store and getting some ice cream, etc. But also the miles just go a lot faster, even though you're beating your feet up on the pavement. It's just quicker because you're not tripping over sticks and roots and rocks. Also, a fun fact, the Trans-Canada Trail is home to one of the longest pedestrian suspension bridges in North America. It's about 1,000 feet long and is suspended between two 100-feet towers. So that would be kind of cool to walk across. If you're interested in learning more about the Trans-Canada Trail, whether you want to do the whole shebang or visit little bits of it, you can learn more at tctrail.ca. They have this really cool interactive map that tells you about different sections and gives you like the nitty-gritty as far as what kind of terrain, what you'll be walking on, etc. But basically, my answer is the same for this trail as the North Country Trail. I don't want to be that cold that long, so this would be another one that I would definitely be interested in checking out in sections. But as far as a through hike, it's a no. And finally, the American Discovery Trail. This trail is either 4,834 miles or 5,057 miles, depending on which route you take, the upper or the lower. The American Discovery Trail takes you from rural and urban areas to forests and deserts and mountains, etc. It's kind of a little bit of everything. One thing I like about this trail is you can complete the trail in different ways, kind of like the others too, I suppose, but there are routes available if you want to bike, if you want to go horseback riding, or if you want to backpack. On the discoverytrail.org website, they estimate that if you were to do 15 miles a day with one rest day per week, that it would take about 390 days to complete 5,000 miles. They estimate that bicycling takes about 5 months and horseback would take about a year. So this is a pretty significant time investment if you're going to through hike, bike, or horseback this trail. Now I will say, of all of the trails that I've mentioned today, this is the one that I would be most likely to do, because there's something about going from East Coast all the way to the West Coast that's intriguing to me, to look at one ocean and then work your butt off and go see the other. That sounds very rewarding. But if I was gonna do it, honestly, I would probably want to do a back-end trip. It's something that I've wanted to do anyway, to kind of switch up the way I adventure. I've looked into the Southern Tier after meeting a girl on the Florida Trail who was a day away from completing her journey on the Southern Tier. She went from west to east. But ever since then, it's kind of been in the back of my mind. So I probably wouldn't ever through hike this trail, but biking it, I could definitely see myself doing that. So anyway, these seem to be 3 of the trails that a lot of folks throw out in the comments. Hey Dixie, what about this trail? Would you ever do that? And my answer for these 3 is probably no. Not through hiking, maybe in sections, and possibly biking. But with that said, there are just so many trails out there, a lot of places I want to see, things I want to do, and so there have to be some things that you push to the back burner and go, okay, that's not on the immediate backpacking bucket list. So these are probably on that back burner for me. So what about y'all? Are there any trails out there that are pretty popular that you're just like, you know, I really have no interest in this trail because of X, Y, and Z? If so, I'd love to hear about that in the comments below. But that's all I have for y'all today. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe before you go if you haven't already, and we will see y'all next time.